Welcome back to Vintage HLC Show and Tell. Today we are going to continue with part 2 on specialty salad nappies. Now in the last video we looked at 6 rather common salad nappies: the Pennsylvania, the New York, the orange border, the scale, the Virginia rose stencil, and the Empress stencil. Today we'll start off by looking at 4 lesser common salad nappies. Our first one comes from around 1905. This is the Tioga salad nappy. Scallop shape with slight fluting going on. This is part of the Laughlin specialty shapes that were used in art china. This is not considered Laughlin art china, however. This is just given a typical large rose decal with some gold stamps. We see the marking on the reverse. Homer Laughlin with no date code. So this dates to around 1905 to 1910 or so. This is the Tioga salad nappy. Comes in several sizes as well. This is the fluted nappy. This comes from the 1920s. Looks very similar to the Pennsylvania shape. However, this is just straight flutes. They're not swirled. And our decal is something you would expect from the 20s, something you might see on, let's say, Yellowstone or even the Knoll shape. This is dated 1928. Next is the shell. Well, it may have an official name. I don't know what the official name is, but I call it the shell salad nappy because of its design. Nice scalloped edge. We see a ship decal in the center. Anytime you see a ship decal like this one on a piece of Homer Laughlin, that's a specialty piece. It was never used on a full line of dinnerware. A green wash trim. This comes from 1931. And finally, we have another piece, again from 1931. Now, Richard Ratcher and Joanne Jasper had a publication called The Laughlin Eagle, and in it there's a little section on specialty salad nappies. And they show one of these, and they don't have an official name for it, so they call it the tulip salad nappy, and I think that's a good enough descriptive name for now until we can find the official name. Anytime you see this collection of leaves and the decal, this is also used on specialty ware. It was not used on dinnerware. That is a full set of dinnerware. And there's your 1931 marking. So those are your 4 less common specialty pieces. Again, that's the tulip, the shell, both of those from the 1930s, fluted from the 1920s with a luster, and the Tioga from Laughlin art china and specialty shapes, or decorated specialties. The rest of these that I want to look at today were pulled from dinnerware shapes. So before we get into that, I want to talk about the distinction between a specialty piece, one from dinnerware, and even an outside decorator. So you have standard treatments. Now all of these shapes that I'm showing here, these 3, come from theme eggshell, a line of dinnerware made from 1939 to the 1950s. So this first version has TH20. This rose decal is also used on Liberty, Georgian eggshell. On Liberty, I believe it's Queen Esther is what it was called. But you can expect to find every piece of theme in the assortment with this decal treatment. You can find the teapot, the casserole, the salt and pepper, everything. This is a specialty salad nappy. You will not find every piece of theme with this. In fact, you may find the platter, but that's going to be about it. We see meadow goldenrod, which was used on a lot of dinnerware shapes. And then we have this pink wash trim. So this is a specialty piece. This is a specialty salad nappy using a theme eggshell blank. There generally is going to be something wrong with these pieces. There's going to be a defect or a flaw, and we can see little pieces, well, little spots in the bottom of this one where it's less than perfect. So rather than give it a standard treatment, they give it an old scrap print, and they just put some wash trim, and then they have something to sell. So that's basically what a specialty piece is when it's pulled from a line of dinnerware like this. But the decal is pretty standard on other shapes most of the time. So you have this something that's unexpected. And then we have the outside decorator, and I've talked about outside decorators in a previous video. Very elaborate, lots of gold, a rather nondescript decal. This particular one was done by Atlas China. There's Homer Laughlin's underglaze mark, I believe, let's see, 1946, and Atlas China's overglazed gold stamp. So if you're new to collecting, this is something to look for. You have to be able to tell, and it's not that difficult, tell the difference between something that's standard, something that is expected, a specialty piece that is probably going to be unexpected because you get some strange combinations of gold stamps and lusters, wash trims, and decals that you normally don't see on standard dinnerware sets. And then the very elaborately decorated, over-embellished outside decorator pieces. So now we'll look at some of the specialty salad nappies that were done at Homer Laughlin. That is, that they were made at Homer Laughlin, they were decorated at Homer Laughlin. These are not the work of outside decorators. We'll start with this one. This is the Seneca shape, one of the fancy embossed shapes from the early 1900s. See the Seneca embossing. Look at the mark. That's your second Seneca mark. The earlier pieces were marked white granite with the eagle and lion. We have a decal with gold stamps. This is not a wash trim and it's not a luster either. This is what you would see on like toiletware, where it's blended tint. A little unusual to see the earlier pieces used as salad nappies like this. Now after Laughlin Art China was discontinued around 1910, we start to see lusters take their place. We see lusters on jugs and on platters and salad nappies. So we'll look at this one next. This is the Angela shape, and it comes from 1913. We see a typical decal. A lot of the decals that were used in this time period around 1913, really large rose clusters. We see this green and orange luster going on. And we have another piece with luster trim. And the lusters were used to about 1933. Then the wash trims take over. Let's see, this piece has Rosetta. That's the decal in the middle. Now this originated on Yellowstone. So we have it with the black verge line and black trim. This is a late 1920s treatment. In fact, this piece is marked 1928. But we see the same decal. So here, this is something you would expect to see. You could find every piece of Yellowstone with this decal treatment. However, here it's used as a specialty piece. They just throw it on here, give it this luster, and now they have a sellable piece of ware. And again, you should be able to find something wrong with it. You see those little kiln dirt in there under the glaze. Less than perfect, so rather than throw it out, you can make something of it by making a specialty piece out of it. This is your scallop nappy. This is from white granite staples. We'll see the Rosetta pattern on other specialty pieces. That was a favorite decal of theirs to use. This is Empress, plain round shape. This one's dated, let's see, 1923. Apple and cherries with orange luster. Now in this case, it's used as a fruit set. So they paired it with a set of little fruit cups. So we have the apples and blackberries and the pears and cherries. So this would be considered a specialty set. A specialty fruit set. And we have another fruit set. We see that ship decal again. Only used on specialty ware. This is a Hudson bowl, 1927, orange luster, and it is paired with a set of Republic fruit cups to make another berry set. And you can see the imperfections in this particular piece. So they wouldn't use this in a standard line of dinnerware. It got put with this specialty set. There you can see a big one right there at the bottom of that little spot, little lump of clay. And these date to 1927 as well. Century. This imperfection might be a little hard to see, but the glaze did not take well. You can kind of see that where it's all runny. So again, they're not going to use this in a line of dinnerware. They're going to make a specialty nappy out of it. So we have these platinum stamps. You generally will not see any lusters or wash trims on Century. Instead, you see stamps. Meadow Goldenrod, that was a standard treatment used on Century as well as many other dinnerware lines. But here, this is a specialty piece. You're not going to find a full set of this. This comes from, I think that says 1936. That one's a little difficult to read. Then we'll look at these Yellowstone. I don't know if that's going to show up. Yeah, I think it will. But you can see the problem with these. They're warped. They should be perfect octagons, but during the firing, they just did not turn out right. They kind of twisted. So this side's longer than that side. So they made some specialty pieces out of them. This one's got the cherries with these medallion gold stamps. And this one's got grapes with gold stamps. So essentially berry bowls. They are both dated 1937. And this is your Yellowstone Vellum. So if you go, oh, that's warped. Well, yeah, it probably should be. I mean, instead of throwing it out, they made use of it with this little scrap prints and gold stamps. Debutante. This comes from 1951. And we see this decal. This decal was used on, let's see, theme eggshell, coronet. And we see it in conjunction with these gold stamps. Rather odd combination. And this is a case where if somebody finds one of these and they go, oh, I want to find a whole set, you're not going to find a whole set. You may only find this piece. You may find a small platter with this as well, but you're not going to find a full set with this decal and gold stamps and debutante. Empress Salad Nappy. Same gold stamps. This is Golden Rose. We see this on Virginia Rose quite a bit. But we see these gold stamps being used in the late 40s and early 1950s on specialty pieces. Really nice rose and tulip decal in the middle. See the little, as I move it back and forth, you can see right there in the center there's an imperfection. So they were not going to use this in an Empress set. There's another one right there. This is dated 1949. And finally, we'll look at some Virginia Rose pieces. Look at that one last. Scrap decal with blue wash trim. This is not as shiny as the luster trims that are older. The wash trims start in 1932, 1933, and they extend into the 1950s. You can see the imperfection here, that glaze run that's pretty severe and discolored. This comes from I think that's 42. It's a little smudged. This pink flower decal was used by Payton City, if I'm not mistaken. Again, you can see those little glaze pops in the bottom. Really nice treatment. It'd be nice to find a full set of Virginia Rose with this decal, but mainly going to be on specialty wear. And here we see the green wash trim. And that's from 1940. Now, Richard Ratcheter, in his book on Virginia Rose, he calls this Maryland. And he calls it Maryland because he says this treatment was used on Georgian eggshell, and it was called Maryland. So these specialty salad nappies that use Virginia Rose in this decal and this combination, he just calls those Maryland as well. So there's green band here, there's also blue, there's also pink, and they all have this same decal and gold stamp. So these were more intentional, so that it's not like you're going to find a defect or a flaw in them. These are sort of on the same level as the stencil salad nappies. And this is from 1949. The last Virginia Rose example, we see those gold rose stamps again. Not surprising to see that on Virginia Rose, but this decal is a little unexpected. And it says at the bottom, for amber waves of grain. You can see all the little brown marks from when it was made. So it became a specialty piece. Now this decal is part of a series where each decal has a different scene and a different verse of America the Beautiful. And you will usually see it on the eggshell shapes. So here's Nautilus eggshell. You can see the barn. That's part of that decal that was cut and used as a small version for the creamer. See a swing eggshell teacup, and inside it says, "Oh, beautiful for spacious skies." And then we have yet another scene on this piece, and it says, "For purple mountain majesties." These date to the 40s, I believe. Let's see, 1944 and 1945. But this one comes from 1950. And not only is there an imperfection with the actual bowl, but the decal is folded at the bottom where it says grain. So this is for amber waves of grain. So yet again we have an unexpected combination of gold stamps with a decal and a shape. And I think that's what makes collecting these fun. You get these pieces you don't expect, and when you find them, whether it be online or in an antique mall, it's rather surprising to see. So that's going to be it for specialty salad nappies and salad bowls. Anything can be a specialty piece. It can be a jug, it can be a butter dish, it can be a sauce boat, but most of the time it's going to be a salad nappy or a platter. And in fact, in the next video we're going to look at some examples of specialty platters.